Ladies and gentlemen, sorry for the wait. There were technical issues. Let me know if you can hear me, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know if you can hear me all right. I think you could see me okay. But let me know if you can hear me all right. Eric, thank you so very much for being an amazing moderator. Luke, thank you so very much for being an amazing moderator. Can you hear me, ladies and gentlemen? Is it working all right now? Is everything working okay? Let me know. Let me know. I want to know. Inquiring minds want to know. Inquiring minds need to know if you can hear me. Let me know. Okay, good. Ladies and gentlemen, do you remember, ladies and gentlemen, when George W. Bush informed you or warned you about credit default swaps and the impending 2008 financial collapse, and the fact that $700 billion under his administration would be used to bail out banks? So Bush started the bailouts. They credited President Obama with saving the economy. Bush would have done the same thing. Bush bails out U.S. automakers. December 19th, 2008. He started the $17.4 billion bailout of General Motors and Chrysler. Bush signed $700 billion financial bailout bill. So he started his presidency. And to my super chat, thank you. I can't do this without you, ladies and gentlemen. Eric H526, thank you so very much. Luke St. Martin, thank you so very much for being amazing moderators. To my super chat, thank you so much for your support. Ian Moyer, thank you for the super thanks the other day. I can't thank you enough, Ian. Thank you so very much. Your support is greatly appreciated. Ladies and gentlemen, Bush was the worst president of all time. He inherited a pretty good economy. So I'll give Bill Clinton that. Even though he was very lucky and the Berlin Wall fell and he was the president that presided over the beginning of the .com and internet economic upswing. So Bill Clinton was very fortunate that he had the Berlin Wall fall and the internet become a major part of the economy during his presidency, or at least the internet and a change in the way we communicate, part of his presidency and do business. So that was good. He was lucky, and Bill Clinton was pretty lucky, and Bush then inherited a pretty good economy. He inherited a world where there weren't many major geopolitical concerns that we faced, aside from being completely blindsided in 2001 on the worst day in this country's history. Okay, you could say there are other days that are worse. It's the worst day in our country's history. September 11, 2001. The worst day in American history. Okay, along with Pearl Harbor. And he was completely blindsided. And like they always do, they say, you better listen to us, you better listen to us. The intel community that was completely blindsided, completely clueless, completely unprepared, and failed to predict what took place. They know that WMD exists, so they started a 20-year endless campaign of regime changes and counterinsurgency conflicts and wars. He started his presidency with that and then ended it with very risky derivatives and a real estate bubble, a stock market crash, bank bailouts because of credit default swap derivatives, and mortgages that people couldn't pay, and a real estate bubble that popped, causing hundreds of billions, trillions of dollars in wealth lost. Okay, because of financial regulators that didn't do their job. And you had everybody from Bernie Madoff to all major banks around the world either engaging in Ponzi schemes or almost going under, needing bank bailouts. And that was Bush's administration. In addition to, they ran on a marriage amendment. So you have all of these Bush-era neoconservatives who, it's almost as if they're completely oblivious to their endless failures. They should have already been canceled, but they're a foil to Democrats. Look at Bush and people who still like George W. Bush, which are few and far between, as a foil to Trump. Well, he did preside over the worst day in American history, and he did preside over a stock market and financial collapse that almost was 1929, but at least he wasn't mean. At least he was a compassionate conservative. At least he wasn't mean. Vicky, thank you. At least he wasn't mean. That's the whole thing. That's what they care about. The only thing they care about, ladies and gentlemen, the only thing they care about is rebranding. Rebranding Bush to be this foil to Trump. That's why they rally around Liz Cheney. Because they rally around Liz Cheney because they say, okay, well, it's true that she pushed for endless wars and her father was, vice president / president, who knows what was going on there, and pointing Bush in the direction he wanted. But at least Trump wasn't mean. At least Bush wasn't mean. That's the main thing. Bush was mean, and he was rude. Trump was mean and he was rude, and he was divisive. And if a meteor was redirected towards Earth, or a comet, and there were ICBMs descending, and a whole bunch of people living on the streets went to the bathroom on top of your car, and the check engine light was turned on as you were driving, and then you hit a bunch of nails and tacks, and then you had your tire popped. While all this was taking place, the morally superior liberal in your car would say, you know what, at least Trump is not being mean. At least he's not being mean. That's what they care about. They don't care about Bush's horrendous, terrible track record. How many presidents have had September 11th of 2001 and the 2008 financial collapse? How many presidents can you name that had? How many presidents? Name the number. Where? Okay, Hoover had 1929. FDR had Pearl Harbor, but JFK had the Gulf of Tonkin, but that was not accurate and fabricated. So that was an intelligence failure. Jimmy Carter had the crisis in Tehran. Jimmy Carter single-handedly catapulted Reagan and Herbert Walker. Single-handedly. Single-handedly. If you speak to people who were around during Carter's presidency, you will not get a very glowing evaluation of Jimmy Carter. Not at all. You will not get a very glowing. So, I mean, tell me, give me a president. President Trump had record low unemployment, wages increasing, and I'm hopefully very soon will be published in a wonderful publication talking about the imminent and impending stock market crash. So stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. Stay tuned. I can't wait. I hope. But there are numerous publications that I'm pitching. I want one in particular, but if I don't get that one in particular, there are others that I know will want the op-ed, and I'm hoping that I get published in a certain publication. It'll be fantastic, and I think it will help. It will help the country if it's published. I don't want to sound too full of myself, but I do think it's an important op-ed. But anyway, not many presidents have had the catastrophes of the Bush administration. Exactly. Bay of Pigs. JFK, yeah. And he's being completely rehabilitated because he's not Trump. And all Trump has to do is remind Bush, just simply remind Bush of his failed presidency. It doesn't take much. It doesn't take much. Thank you, Victoria. Thank you. It doesn't take much to look back. It doesn't take much to look back and say, Bush was horrible. I don't care if he was a compassionate conservative. I don't care. It's like these are marketing labels. That's like, Jeffrey Dahmer being labeled a, what's the paleo diet chef. Why would, no, Jeffrey Dahmer is not a chef. Bush was not a compassionate conservative, he was a maniac. Or an imbecile. Either one. Maybe a maniac intentionally does bad things. An imbecile just is, told to do things or falls into. I mean, it's like, you could look back, go back into the Bush administration, go think back. Every time it was like, strategy. I can't do it. I used to be able to do it. Fool me once, shame on him. Fool me twice, shame on me. No. Our adversaries have engaged in strategy that we're not going to be a bring it, don't sing it, bring it. I can't do it. Strategy. Think back. It's not hard to think back. And now, Jimmy Kimmel, he has Bush on his show. Jimmy Kimmel, fantastic. And, of course, what do you get? You get, oh, look, he's an artist. Bush is an artist. Hunter Biden is an artist. This is what happens when you're like a failed politician or a person who is linked to a failed politician with Hunter, falling upwards in mashed potato brains. You just become an artist. When all is said and done, And after you've been on as many boards of oil and gas, corrupt oil and gas, foreign corrupt oil and gas companies, then you just become an artist. Like, oh, what can we do? What can we do where the media can't say I'm selling access? Oh, that's right. I'll just become an artist. And that's fine. Look, can we just simply know who he's selling his art to? That's all. Okay? It's like the perfect laundering scheme. The White House is like, everything's going to be fine from here on out. From here on out, what we'll do is the following. Hunter will be allowed to, he'll be allowed to do all these wonderful paintings and sculptures. But you know what? We'll make up for him being on the board of directors and his laptop with emails selling access to the United States government through his father with emails like, how can you use your influence on behalf of our company? Really ambiguous emails like, hard to decipher. How can you use your influence on behalf of the company? And I give 10% to the big man, pointing to his father. Emails that are basically you need a Rosetta Stone or the Library of Alexandria to, kind of decipher all this knowledge and wisdom we don't have to actually find out what those emails are about. Anyway, so he's now this artist where we actually don't know who he's selling to, because the buyers of his artwork are completely anonymous. And so there you go. What could go wrong? Could you imagine if Donald Trump Jr. Could you imagine if Donald Trump Jr. started selling art? If he started selling art to anonymous buyers, what do you think they would say? What do you think they would say? What do you think they would say if Eric H526 Very good, very good. What do you think they would say? They would say, "Oh my God, Uday and Kusei Trump. Oh my God, they're selling access to the United States government." They don't care about access to the government. They don't care about accusations or allegations. They don't care about remember they were talking about the deficit, the audacity of these people. And then with Trump, they're like, shut it down. Shut it down. Oh, we have to shut it down. Too bad Trump didn't notify us. Oopsie. 22 million jobs lost. Oh, well. Nothing we could do about that. Sorry. So sorry. So sorry. God, we had record low unemployment, but you know what? Trump was told by the intel community while we were trying to impeach him and remove him that there would be a global crisis, health crisis. Sorry. Of course, the U.S. labor force is 160 plus million, average age being about 42. According to government data, 99% plus of the lives lost were above the age of 49. This is according to the CDC. Go look it up. It's a fact. But let's shut it down the entire economy so we have toilet paper shortages. Let's do that. We need to do this right now. Experts say Democrats would gleefully jump off a cliff if Trump said not to, and experts say go ahead and do it. Well, we've seen that, a financial cliff already. They would gleefully jump off a cliff. Gleefully. They would gleefully jump off a cliff. because they want to do the opposite of Trump. Do you understand? It's the opposite of Trump. They need to do the opposite of Trump at all times. At all times. They have to do the opposite of Trump. They simply cannot allow Trump allow Trump to get away with a viewpoint that is not countered by their apoplectic, hysterical reaction to the orange menace. He's orange, he's bad, he's mean, he stole Christmas, he's Trump. They cannot have him. They need to oppose him. Toy Mafia, hello. And then they try to paint Hunter as like this, Hunter S. Thompson type of individual. The trials and tribulations of a maverick. Hunter Biden. The trials and tribulations. How he's overcome his demons. The exorcist overcame more demons than this man. Lord knows what he's up to now. I mean, if people don't hit rock bottom when it comes to substance abuse, or if they're not, unfortunate reality, if they're not jailed or hit substance abuse, hit rock bottom, a person with carte blanche, endless money supply, the damage is not, there's no way to even predict what he could do to himself or others. That's why his girlfriend at the time took his 38 and like a good liberal picked it up like this, like a banana peel. 38. What is this? Second Amendment. And put it in a dumpster. Who knows if it was loaded? Just put it in a dumpster. She was afraid he was going to do something horrible with it. So the way she looked at it, and he picked it up and literally put it in a dumpster. Politico reported this. Literally, Politico reported, put it in a dumpster right next to a school, no less. They don't care. Can you imagine if Donald Trump Jr. and Eric Trump? Can you imagine if this happened? Oh my God, Donald Trump's wacky significant other, Donald Trump Jr., Eric Trump, their maniacal significant other put a firearm in a dumpster near a school and had the Secret Service, no less, cover for him. Bah. And they would be touching themselves in ecstasy. Just what they do is they focus on the crimes of others for two reasons. One, they focus on the crimes of others so their crimes aren't addressed or investigated. The best offense to Democrats is a good defense, or the best defense is a good offense. And they just, if they can control the volume and the intensity of emotions, pointing out that Trump is worse than we are, they can then hopefully get away in their minds with endless corruption. Endless corruption. If they can say, well, Trump is worse, that's their only hope of getting away with actual corruption. And this is a really, really tragic story. A really tragic story. And honestly, like, God bless this young woman's family and what's taking place. I mean, the lessons learned from how this person's life ended. There are a lot of lessons that should be learned for everybody. But Do you know the real reason, in my humble view, why the Gabby Petito story is all over the news? So media can protect itself from the fact that media doesn't report on the thousands of lives lost and lives missing, and thousands upon thousands of people of color who've lost their lives and whose lives are missing right now. Media can focus on this, then pontificate about why it's focusing on this and not other lives lost. It is the media's the biggest racket of all time. They're the biggest racket of all time. So you hear actually a logical or rational criticism of media. Well, why are you focusing on this one woman when there are women of color who go missing and lose their lives? Yes, I agree. Media should focus on that as well. What they've decided to do is, hey, they say, well, this is a lucrative story, or this is a tragic story, where they can focus on this poor woman's demise. You know, she was obviously in a terrible relationship. Okay. And they can then pull back and say, but look, we should have focused with the, why are we all focusing on this when we can focus on these stories? So it's like the guilt they've repackaged into, let's utilize this horrendous tragedy, this terrible, whoever did this is going to burn in you-know-where forever. Whoever did this to this woman is going to burn in you-know-where forever. But the same media that doesn't... The same media monstrosity, public relations monstrosity beholden to the Democratic Party that don't address, barely even talk about 20, 30, 50, 60, 70 people in a weekend, 100 people in the weekend almost losing their lives or losing their lives in major cities of the country, barely even addressing the issue, just into the headline, and that's it. The same media that ignores the plight of people of color, but then makes money off the plight of people of color and other people throughout the country. They do this. This is a racket. Make money and focus endlessly on a tragedy, one tragedy, and then preach and give sermons and pontificate why they haven't focused on tragedies they should have focused on or should have also focused on. So they've inoculated themselves from guilt or the repercussions of their despicable behavior, the media. But only American media can do this. And it's like this magic trick, this illusion. They they sell emotions, and they can repackage emotions. They can sell outrage and repackage it as guilt, and then repackage guilt as outrage, and repackage the outrage and guilt as this political theory, and then repackage that as anything to help Democrats. So what they're doing is marketing and selling emotions. The product is emotion. The product is not, let's better society, let's keep people safe, let's keep women safe. That's not what they're selling. That's not what they're trying to do. Mark 007, Alan 007, Sova 007. H, I always love your special live broadcast. You can never be replaced. There's only one very unique H. Goodman. God bless you. Thank you, Mark. Thank you so very Mark. Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much, Mark007. Thank you so very much. Very, very, very kind of you. Thank you for the kind words. Very kind of you. Thank you so much. Greatly, greatly, greatly appreciated. Thank you so very, very much. To my super chat, thank you. I can't do this without you. Very kind of you, Mark. Very kind of you. Thank you for the kind words. Thank you for the kind words, Mark. Greatly appreciated. Greatly, greatly appreciated. I mean, they do this, Mark. Everybody here, they take a tragedy. They take a tragedy. What happened to this woman is an absolute catastrophe. And I mean, I couldn't even watch the entire I couldn't watch the entire video because it was so tragic. Like, she was crying, and I mean, honestly, it didn't sound like she was doing anything, that bad for them to get into an argument. She was cleaning or whatever. It's like, who knows, you have to watch out, men and women. You have to watch out who you're with. You could be with somebody who is just emotionally unstable. I'm not talking about Gabby Petito. I'm talking about the person she was with, who almost certainly knows or engaged in the despicable behavior that led to her tragic loss. But it's like so heart-wrenching to hear that, but then you get like, you get media saying, well, this is horrible, but why don't you talk about this? Well, it's media. Why doesn't the fact that they haven't talked about this doesn't issues for other people who've experienced this? That's on the media. See, journalists want you to revere them while at the same time absolve them of guilt. They want you to revere them while at the same time absolve them of guilt. And the same thing's going to happen with the stock market crash. Oh my God, you're going to see. I mean, they focus on stories. You saw this all throughout last summer, by the way. You saw people of color losing their lives. And media silent because it didn't fit their narrative. And you saw media gleefully, whether it's Trump's brother or anyone who lost their lives, what they did to Herman Cain was despicable. They gleefully, I mean, you see this propaganda. This is the most disgusting propaganda. This person's last message to everybody. Well, God bless that person. Just out of curiosity, what did the person weigh? Obesity. You can't talk about that. You can't talk about obesity. Oh, you should never have existed. You're banished, excommunicated from decent society. Like, how old was the person? Okay. What do the statistics show? What are the government? It's the government data. Nobody looks at it. You certainly not Jimmy Kimmel or anyone else. Certainly not, the wonderful, morally superior liberals on Twitter. I'm not on Twitter, thank God. I'm not on Facebook, thank God. But it's like this. I have never seen so much media manipulation in my entire life. I have never seen in my entire life as much media manipulation, and I have never seen as many gullible people as possible. If I love Trump. If Trump said that Biden is working for China, I wouldn't believe it. Because we have an intelligence apparatus in the hundreds of billions of dollars in terms of budget. They'll find out if you're a spy, you're going to be, if you use any phone, they'll find you out very quickly. If every once in a while there's a Robert Hansen or there's a Aldrich Ames, but they work for the agency and the bureau. The only real spies are the ones that actually work in government that are traitors. Okay, it's not like the insurgent candidate Trump that demolishes the Bush dynasty and then just comes on in. He wasn't working with Russia. You made that up to save face because you lost. But they'll believe anything. I wouldn't believe that, but they'll believe anything. That's the most absurd lie and hoax. Why would you believe that? Because you want to believe it. See, there were people who didn't like Reagan. But if Jimmy Carter said Reagan was working with Russia, they'd never believe it. Or Reagan was working with China or whatever. Or, they wouldn't. The level of discussion or debate or discourse has descended into madness. You wouldn't have, this is not, everything is now TMZ, which TMZ is actually, they report on gossip, but they're actually kind of more accurate than CNN. If it's a choice between watching a developing story that's of interest to the world on TMZ or CNN, and I'm not even endorsing TMZ because I don't even agree with them politically. Like, you see these debates, like, I completely disagree with them politically on gun control, a whole lot of things, but like, they're actually probably more accurate. I don't know, I could be wrong. Basically, everybody's more accurate than CNN. But I've never seen this level of hysteria. They're like, oh yeah, Trump's taxes, Trump's tax returns. Yeah, Trump's tax returns. Like, well, what about Trump's tax returns? What do you think you're going to find there? Lots of financial crimes. Lots of financial crimes. Well, like what? I don't know, but there you will just wait. And that's all I've heard since 2016, actually. Like, whoa, why don't they indict him? You just wait. 2017, why don't they charge him? You just wait. 2018, well, why don't they arrest him for something? Oh, you just wait. 2019, you just wait. 2020, you just wait. 2021, it's right there. The walls are closing in. And then they say, oh, Trumpers are so irrational. It's the level of hysteria is like through the roof. The only good thing, and it won't be a good thing because tragedies like a financial collapse, and there are going to be a lot of good people who lose a lot of money in Bitcoin. I respect people who invest in Bitcoin, but I don't invest in Bitcoin, or I don't invest really in anything. I don't think, in my humble view, I don't think this is the time to invest. If you're, in my humble view, I don't give any investment advice on the Stock Market Crash channel. By the way, subscribe to that. I don't give any advice at all. But here's the Stock Market Crash channel. But the only actual advice I'd ever give, it's not really advice, but theoretically, and here's the Stock Market Crash channel. Subscribe to it, people. Bushini. Bushani. Hello, Ursula. That is true. That's the name, Bushani. The Stock Market Crash channel is here. Everybody subscribe to it. The only The only advice that I would give theoretically is that if you're about to retire, like next year, or even 2 years from now, or even 3 years from now, what's the point? I'm not saying sell anything. I'm speaking in the theoretical. You decide, your decision. I'm not telling anyone to do anything. But in my view, if I was retiring in 3 years, why on earth would I take the risk of being in the greatest market bubble of all time? Why? I'm not telling anyone what to do. You know, it would be like there's a 75-year-old now who's an H.A. Badman told me to sell Bitcoin. Worst person in the planet. I don't tell anyone to sell anything. But if I'm going to retire in 2 or 3 years, why on earth would I be invested in this terrible, atrocious market bubble where the catalyst, we don't know what it could be. It could be another Archegos hedge fund. It could be another Evergrande real estate debacle. It could be another Melvin Capital with the Reddit short squeeze. It could be the Treasury sell-off earlier this year. It could be, a whole bunch of things. It could be mashed potato brains and his bumbling, stumbling administration getting us into a nuclear confrontation. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? We have no clue. We have no clue the level of incompetence that could lead us towards catastrophe. We already seen Biden. Biden is like the new starting quarterback that, like the Trump was the starting quarterback that won games, but because he was like drinking all the time and in the news and getting arrested, they're like, well, we don't like him. We want somebody wholesome. Even though Trump was never getting arrested, he was winning. The country was winning. And it's like the reaction to the reaction to the global health crisis, that reaction cost 22 million jobs. The global health crisis didn't cost 22 million American jobs. The reaction to it. The reaction to it. Thank you, Mark 007. Alan 007, Sova 007, thank you. Vicky, everybody here, I think, look, every time the market moves up, which is totally fine with me, I don't want this to happen, but the higher it goes, unfortunately, the greater the collapse will be. And I just hope it doesn't happen, but I do predict it taking place. The derivatives trades, the contract for differences, which they're actually illegal in the U.S., but they get around it by, American firms get around it by trading in other exchanges. There are other derivatives that are just as risky, betting on the price fluctuations. If they don't own the stock, but they bet on the price fluctuations in these derivatives, and if you bet on the price, and there are probably derivatives we don't even really know about now. Or that haven't caused the collapse yet for a company, but, they'll be in the news. But derivatives, the contracts, are not regulated by Dodd-Frank. They still haven't implemented the Dodd-Frank laws, even after 20. And that's what I talk about in my latest article, hopefully to be published in a really wonderful publication soon. But the Dodd-Frank law, published in 2010, where Bernard Sanders and Elizabeth Warren and AOC and all these people, Robert Reich and Paul Krugman, they all, Dodd-Frank, fine. But they haven't even implemented the derivatives laws in over a decade. They haven't. It's taken them a decade. I think in November they're starting to implement some. Maybe. November is like they're supposed to implement a bunch of... And that was only because a hedge fund went under. We saw the writing on the wall. An American hedge fund went under, and they said, we didn't know how much We didn't know how much debt the banks had and the hedge fund had. That's bizarre. Why didn't we know how much debt? Huh, that's interesting. Why didn't we know how much debt? Oh, that's right. We didn't know how much debt because Joey, I'm waiting for H. Jacobs' other story. You know what? Honestly, Joey, I hope all is well. I'm actually thinking after the stock market crash channel happens, I'll be so full of myself. I'm actually might start a nuclear confrontation channel. And if I could, I don't think I can name it Biden's nuclear confrontation. It'll be like a nuclear fallout, eventual confrontation channel. I think the next catastrophe after a stock market crash will be a nuclear confrontation, similar to the Cuban Missile Crisis, but unfortunately with mashed potato brains. Hey, man, come on, man. Come on, man. Put those ICBMs away, man. He falls asleep. You know the deal, man. Z-Man, come on. Don't invade Taiwan, man. That's not cool, man. Bumbling Blinken, take over. They're cutting my microphone. Cornflakes. The nuclear proliferation / eventual annihilation channel. Welcome to H.A. Goodman's Nuclear Annihilation Channel. Have a nice day. Subscribe. Tell your friends. It's fantastic. I'm telling you, like, it really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter if there is nuclear annihilation. Because you will have on Twitter, you'll probably have AOC or someone on the left. You know what? Bring it. Mother Earth has suffered so much from humans that maybe us becoming the dinosaurs is a good thing. Okay? Ever thought of that? Retweet, like, 20,000 likes. Yay, it's so true. We've had enough on this earth. Yay! You're so smart. You're so moral. Oh, it's so true. It's like they would say that too. They bring it on, yeah. Just like they were saying, one of them on the Democrat is one of these like Democrats on Twitter talking about something I'm not even going to talk about. They're like, put it right in my veins, yeah. A certain, type of whatever. I'm going to bring it up, which, by the way, that's not going to happen. But he was like, yeah, endless amounts. Do it now. Do it now. Put it right in my veins. If media said they don't care, but there's no long term. Doesn't matter. Trump said don't do it. I say do it. And y'all do it. If Trump said don't do it. They just want to do the opposite of Trump. That's it. And they have this warped mentality. Warped, really weird. This is like before. The best thing that'll happen to humanity is when Twitter ceases to exist. It becomes MySpace, which will eventually happen. Do you know how much time on Twitter? I mean, I don't have Instagram, but I'm sure on Instagram too. But at least you have pictures. You can enjoy pictures. Everyone likes pictures. And then Facebook is like also a waste of time, but at least you go, oh, look what Bob is eating. Look what Mary made for Bob. Oh, I'm sorry. What Bob made for Mary. Oh, look at their doggy. And then you can you contact people you haven't seen in a long time who are important to you. That's, a nice thing. But Facebook is generally a waste of time. Twitter is, if Satan made a social media platform, it's Twitter. And this, if we don't have a stock market crash, and I don't want it to happen, the only positive, consequence, which would be terrible. I don't want it to happen, but it's going to happen, unfortunately, because of mismanagement by mashed potato brain and Democrats during Trump's administration, especially. They're like, oh, sorry, we have to tank the economy. Gosh, it'd be too bad if Trump is blamed for this while we gleefully tank our economies. And all the experts were completely blindsided as always, but, let's forget about that. When people are actually when it's an actual market crash and it's not like media fueling hysteria, the hysteria is real, and it won't be because the market crash, producer price. What's the producer price index? What does that mean even? Like Bernie Sanders, they with the public health crisis, they could really, twist that into Trump's fault, and the hysteria. Oh, it's so easy for them to manipulate the hysteria. But with the stock market crash, they can't. They won't be able to manipulate that. Okay, because they spent 10 years. So you know what? We should learn the lessons, and it'd be very difficult for them. And you're going to see people on Twitter try to evoke these sermons and preaching and morality and judgment, and it's going to backfire. Hopefully, the only good thing will be people will say, "Why am I wasting time on Twitter? My entire retirement account is worth an empty bag of Cheetos. Why did I spend so much time retweeting my disdain for Trump? It did me no good." And I just think that you look at the world right now. Unfortunately, I don't want to say this, but we're so consumed with everything but reality. And there are times when reality, there are times when people experience horrible things. And some, you have to live your life to protect yourself and make sure you're not at the wrong place at the wrong time, and try to be as healthy as possible, and do all the things you need to do to protect yourself in life and to prosper and to focus on health, happiness, joy, laughter, success, basically everything the media doesn't want you to experience. But there will be a time when I think the majority of Americans will finally realize that media is not there to give you truth. It's there to promote existing biases generally and lie by omission. So I am giving my opinion. When you go to H.A. Goodman on YouTube, it's my opinion, my viewpoint. I'm not like, H.A. Goodman, the trusted name in news. Let me wear a shirt that says truth. Okay? I back up everything I say. It's truthful, but I understand that there's a different vantage point, and that's why I enjoy debate and discussion and dialogue. They do not. They dislike debate, discussion, and dialogue. They dislike that. That's something that they just don't like. And that's why, one thing Trump, it's actually, the interesting thing is, I want him to, kind of just kind of relax a little bit regarding the, the rhetoric or, whatever. But the fact that Biden will preside over so much, the fact that Biden is very likely going to preside over more catastrophes under his watch, like Afghanistan was directly Biden's fault. The global health crisis was not Trump's fault. If anything, he tried to find out how it started, and they're like, no, you're prejudiced, you're horrible. And he had nothing to do with that. But they spun everything to like their sensibilities. They look at life as whatever suits their warped notions of civility. You've never seen, by the way, more vicious bullies than on the left. You've never seen it in your life. Try being someone on the left with, there's all these subgroups. You can go ahead. There are people who dislike other progressives or other leftists more than they do Trump supporters. Far more. The level of stress was reduced by like 100%, like 98%. When I said, I'm just voting for Trump. Okay, he's actually a very good president, and you know what? I'm voting for Trump. It was reduced by like an incredible amount because there weren't people saying, you're a Trumper, they gave up. The life of a leftist is constantly judging other leftists. That's what they do. It's like their favorite pastime. And the amount of bullying you've never seen. Trump is like a choir. Like Trump is like the nicest person on the planet compared to the level of bullying that takes place on the left. You've never seen more vicious and malicious and petulant and angry and obsessive people and they all, it's like if you took a bunch of scorpions and spiders and snakes and rattlesnakes and electric eels, and I don't know how they would all live together, I don't know, but if you took all of these and giant rodents and you just put them all in one little, and snakes, did I say snakes? And then you just put in the what's his name? the one that can get bitten, but he don't care. What was that one? What's that animal? Oh my God, what's wrong with me? I'm getting mashed potato brains problems. Hold on. What's the honey badger? The honey badger. Oh my God. And you put the honey badger in there, you'd still get more harmony and grace than the average day on Twitter on the left. It's terrible. It's terrible. It's terrible. Trust me, it's terrible. It is absolutely terrible. I don't envy the life of a leftist with any platform. I don't envy that at all. I don't envy that at all. There were still, up until like recently, journalists still obsessing over me on Twitter. Or not really journalists, quote unquote. They call themselves, not really journalists, just people obsessing. JG, yeah, pretty much. JG, pretty much. Yep. It basically is. It basically is. JG. Always an honor and a pleasure, JG. Actually, the funny thing is, the people who've left Los Angeles, like, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 years ago, whatever, like however many years, they don't realize how much it's changed now in terms of Mad Max. If you watch the movie Mad Max, it's actually more similar to that movie than what people remember of the city. If you drive your car at night and you see a person with a shopping cart in the middle of the street actually looking at you like you're crazy, and not you looking at them like, hey, what are you doing? No, you're the one who's the problem, not them. You're the problem. And, like I got like, I'm driving and I numerous times I've seen people and I'm like, or, swerve around, and they're the ones yelling at me like, hey, watch what you're doing. It's like, you're in the middle of the street. It's like 11 at night. What's wrong with you? No, but I'm the bad person. I'm the one. My bad. Sorry. I was just driving on the road. My bad. Let's see. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much. I think we're going to end it in a couple of minutes. Let's go ahead. Let's see here. Let's see here. Oh, this is something you'll never get. An inconvenient truth. It was George W. Bush who bailed out the automakers. A New Yorker. All right, let's just... Oh, and one last thing. The best is like when they... The best is like... When they talk about Trump and they're like, they talk about Trump and they're like, what, why is Trump spreading a photo? It's just so weird. Why is Trump spreading a photo of Bush and Cheney's face? What does that even mean? What does that mean? Well, it means they're the same things. All the neoconservatives of the Bush administration are still in the Congress today. Maybe also Cheney's father is Darth Vader. Maybe that also is the case. They always try in their hilarious way to question Trump's sanity by questioning their own ignorance or by displaying their own ignorance. What does that mean? Well, it means that he's trying to say that Liz Cheney is essentially having George W. Bush in Congress. I know that was too much for you. That was too much for you. Wonderful, morally superior liberal Democrat. Morally superior. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so very, very much. I'll be back tomorrow. I'll try to do an earlier live stream. Exactly, JG. Exactly. The left cannot meme because there's actually more satire to be. There's endless satire to be created from left-leaning ideology. There's not sure there's satire with the right or Republicans, but not as much. Not nearly as much. It's not nearly as amusing. Because when you're dripping with condemnation and judgment and you continually, act like a hypocrite, well, there's a lot of different ways to point that out. The left doesn't understand that or see that. JG, thank you. Eric, Luke, thank you so very much for being amazing moderators. Mark, thank you so much. Thank you, Mark. I will see you all tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. I'll try to do a live stream a little earlier, probably around 6 p.m. So be here at 6 p.m., people. Tomorrow's live stream will be at 6 p.m. Pacific. Be here at 6 p.m. Pacific, everybody. And also tell people about this channel. If you enjoy this channel, please, the best thing, in addition to Super Chat, is to tell people about this channel. And, tell people, hey, you know what? There's this wacky person named H.A. Goodman going on live. You might enjoy it. So tell people about the live streams also. Oh, also, please, 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 when you see the live stream up, whether it's like 5 p.m. or 2 hours, 3 hours, or 5 hours, or 10 hours early, hit the notifications bell on the live stream. That's important too, so you get notified. So hit the notification bell, like when you see the live stream set up, and you're like, oh, well, how many people are on there, or whatever. Hit notification. This way you'll get notified no matter what, even if YouTube doesn't notify. You will get notified if you hit the notification on the live stream, page where people are waiting. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. To my Super Chat, thank you. Everybody here, have a great night. God bless. I'll see you.